All right, people, welcome in to a little podcast that we're starting now. Uh, this is the High Council podcast. We're supposed to be four today, but we ended up losing one to this dark power called work. But
Employment's a bitch, isn't it?
Oh yeah, minimum
exactly,
wage. Okay.
but we still have two other people, and may you introduce yourselves. Deadpool first.
Alrighty, this is Deadpool. I'm a typical nerd. Here we thought this was a good idea, so I figured, yeah, let's do it. Sounds awesome. So here we are, here at the High Council, talking about it and getting shit done.
Exactly. Right, Guy, introduce yourself, bud.
But what? Hi everybody. My name is Mr. Guy 115, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, and we are here to talk about dumb things for dumb reasons because we're all nerds here out in the post-apocalypse,
Exactly.
the post-COVID apocalypse.
The post-COVID apocalypse. Right. So,
Because I work in a grocery store and it's horrible.
hey, same. It's a nightmare. But all right. So we've all picked each of our own topics, which we are going to go through and discuss. So I think that anyone that wants to go first, Deadpool, do you want to go first?
Well, do we all three have a topic today? That's the main question.
I have my topic. Do you have a topic, Guy?
Sort of.
Sort of. Well, I mean that seems all right for the first podcast. But I mean, yeah. So, since Guy has a sort of a topic, I guess we can start with you then, Deadpool.
Yeah, let's do it. So my topic is I'm really excited for this one. So mine is, what, in y'all's opinions, are the main elements that create a horror fiction film?
Ooh,
Right now,
that's a fucking good
totally not
topic.
racist. Totally not racist. I think I like the anyone that's not white guy dies first. There we go.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty much every movie.
Everyone.
Not white.
Or
gonna
actually-
die.
No, guys, it's not the thing in Scary Movie, and it's not the thing in Scream.
Or Candyman.
Or yeah, exactly. In Candyman, the guy that isn't white is the one killing.
Yeah.
So that I mean that's a plot twist, and I don't think there's anyone of any other ethnicities in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. I don't.
No,
think
you're
there-
right. Actually,
And any of them, I don't remember seeing. Yeah, there's some British people, and I think the second one.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, right. Do you have it since it's your topic, Deadpool? I think it's only fair that you start with any theories that you have of what creates the horror.
yeah, absolutely. So I think you have the typical fear. Obviously, fear has to be the biggest element in any horror film, any horror book, any horror game, anything you go with. There has to be the element of fear. So I have 5 elements personally. So I wrote them down. I have fear is definitely the pillar of all the elements. Then there's the surprise factor, like what's going to surprise you, what's going to catch you off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the suspense factor where like you're really questioning what could happen, but also at the same time keeping in the mystery element of things as well. And lastly, I think spoilers. That's not very. It's not a popular opinion, but I think spoilers are really good in a horror movie, or even a little foreshadowing in the very beginning.
Yeah, foreshadowing definitely does it for me. I think sometimes.
That really gives you, like, at the end of that movie, you can look back and be like, "Holy shit! This is what they were talking about. This is what that meant."
Yeah.
It just makes you want to watch it all over
Or-
again.
If you catch it early on and you're with a group of friends and you're like, "Hey, I bet that guy's gonna do this and this is gonna happen," it's like, "No, that won't happen," and then it does, and they all freak out.
Yeah,
Right,
like
exactly, yeah.
that shit just feels good though, because then you're like, yeah, I fucking got you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah,
Nah.
I was right. You are wrong. But yeah, I think that that's also I think that's also why a lot of modern horror movies, like we talked about earlier today before the podcast, The Nun, right? So The Nun is a flop of a horror movie. But the thing
Oh,
is,
absolutely.
nowadays, like, okay, so Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2 with, what's his face? The James Wan. With him being the director of those, he did a fucking great job with those. I think that those two are very good horror movies. But then, when you make the spin offs, which James Wan didn't direct, when you make the spin offs with Annabelle and the Nun, it's like,
Right.
okay, well, the Annabelle, okay, it's based on a true story, but it wasn't like some creepy ass porcelain doll in real life. It was some sort of knitted doll, right? So
Yeah.
Right.
when
Right.
when it comes to like old horror movies, let's say Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Well, a jump scare was very often like he jumps out of the bush just before a chase, and you don't really expect it. But now, a jump scare, you have to have the fucking noises in the background. If you play a horror movie without noise, you don't even react to the jump scares because they aren't there technically. Now it's just, okay, I'll turn to the right, I don't see anything, turn to the left, don't see anything, turn back to the right, oh shit, there's something in a massive noise that scares people that isn't really that scary. But fucking people that love going to the movies and watching shit horror, they fucking love it. And that is like
Yeah.
where like old horror really excels is, one, don't overuse jump scares and just like know when to put certain elements.
Right.
Like just something, just turning, like in the case of, let's say, someone like Mike Myers, right? The thing about him is obviously he's very stealthy. Right, you don't realize that he's coming. So with him, let's say in when you know his character, you know that he's stealthy. So when you look somewhere, you don't see anything, and then all of a sudden you turn around, he's right behind you. That is very scary. But just looking somewhere, looking to somewhere else, and then looking back, and then all of a sudden something is there. It's not the same thing, and especially not when you add all these noises. But let's say that Michael's theme all of a sudden kicks in, right? Like as soon as
Yeah.
you see him, his theme kicks in, and it's just at the build up. So it's like it kicks in just at the height of where the music actually, or like at the height of the song, and then he just starts walking after you as you're running with his taking his knife up and just walking with his like knife in the air, right? That is scary. That's a good jump scare. But when you just look somewhere and all of a sudden the nun's there, that's not good horror. That's not scary. You know what I
That's
mean?
trying to make something creepy, because that's the feeling I get with the nun. I don't see her as scary. I see her as creepy. Same way with Annabelle. She
Yeah,
looks creepy, but trying to make her scary is a
exactly.
whole different
Like
ballpark.
it's
'Cause
creepy.
she has a very well done makeup. I'll give whoever did the makeup for that entire
Yeah,
movie very good credit. There was a lot of good
yeah.
effects and things. It
Oh,
wasn't a
100%.
scary movie.
But
If she
see,
was just like a puppeteer, maybe Annabelle, they could have BS'd and like, oh yeah, by the way, Annabelle was a little girl, and then her spirit possessed a doll.
yeah,
Maybe we were just seeing like a mirror image of that, and the nun was just kind of the creepy shadow figure behind it.
yeah.
Because to tell you what
And I think
movies,
the most disappointing. Sorry, go ahead.
one I did like that not many people do. The first Sinister movie, the whole
Okay, yeah,
Babylonian deity.
yeah,
I like that he wasn't there all the time. He was just in pictures. You just saw him. You didn't know
Yeah.
what was happening.
Okay.
And when something scary did happen, he did it.
yeah,
He wasn't in front of the camera all the time. They were just
Right.
looking for him.
Yeah.
It was the kids that he was puppeting, their spirits and stuff, that were luring and stuff, and watching
Yeah.
all these horrible things happen to people on these Super 8 films.
yeah,
That's what I like. I like that he only moved when he needed to. He wasn't overused, because I feel like they overused the nun a lot.
yeah. See, that's where like Annabelle and the Nun has a problem, is because the only thing that they have going for them is that, okay, they are creepy, but they aren't scary, and that's the entire point of horror. And it's like, for example, like the one of the massive problems that I have is, let's say, for example, in the Nun, right, when the French guy or French Canadian guy, when he falls into the coffin, if you guys remember, when he falls into the coffin, and then all of a sudden outside the grave, the dirt is there, but it looks like the ground has never been touched. So apparently
Yeah,
the nun can just do anything that she wants. And apparently
Yeah.
she is the one behind all of the monsters in every single of the Conjuring movies. That's just stupid. And then the fact that she can just flip of a coin and she changes reality, that's also stupid. And the fact that all she has going for her is like, okay, she looks creepy, and then she floats towards you with her hands in front, like that's not a good horror movie. Like there's so many of the high end modern horror movies have so many dumb so many dumb parts that just don't make sense. It is not good horror.
Yeah, I hate like the newer modern. They're based off jump scares.
Yeah,
They're not based off
it's
like
only jump scares.
scary factor. It's not scary that there's this nun floating around. It's creepy.
Yeah,
It doesn't have the true horror aspect to it.
No.
And looking back, at what else James Wan has done, I mean, you take Saw. Saw doesn't have many jump scares. Saw is just a gory, like it's a gut wrenching, like
Yeah.
terror fest.
like
The
it,
whole
and
of-
it builds on the fact that it's kind of, obviously it's not really, but it's kind of realistic in a sense, where it's like, if like, because he's a vigilante essentially, right? So the point is, you making a mistake and being punished for it. Every person makes mistakes. So the reason
Exactly.
that the Saw movies, except for maybe like 3D, the reason that they are so good is because of they build on the reality of, you make a mistake or do something that is wrong. Okay, you get punished for this. You get put up to a trial. You have 1 minute to escape. This shit, and you always wonder, like, okay, the entire way you wonder, okay, are they gonna make it? Are they gonna make it? Like in the first Saw movie, one of the greatest things they did was with Amanda. The first scene, the first thing that happens is Amanda trapped in the reverse bear trap. She just gets it off. But because it's a horror movie, you expect her to die because you expect her to be the first victim, and then you expect, like, oh, the police or whatever, she is gonna be the case that they are following, is the death of her. That's what you expect, right? But that isn't what happens. So then in Saw, I don't remember which one, but with the guy who had to cut out the key that was behind his eye, like
Yep.
there I thought, okay, well, with Amanda, she survived, so maybe this guy survives. Nope, he dies. And it's the way that they play towards but also against your expectations in a way. And they do it in a really good way. And that's one of the great
Right.
things about, that's why Saw has so many movies, is because it works still. And there's always something new to
Right.
do with it.
They bring that surprise factor to the maximum potential in that.
Yeah.
Like every death, you're surprised how it happens. You're surprised how creative that the vigilante is in those. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see anything coming the way that it comes. And like you just said, you expect her to die and then she lives. Then you expect him to live and he dies. Like, it keeps you on your toes 24/7.
Exactly.
And he did the same thing in 07 with Dead Silence with
Yeah.
the puppets that lived up in the attic that would, if you
Now
screamed, they killed you.
Yeah. Like
That was
James
great.
Wan is just amazing. He's just a great guy.
Great producer.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He also did what was that movie where the kid would like go to a different dimension in his sleep, and like there was that Darth Maul looking character.
Oh,
Insidious.
Yeah.
Insidious. That I liked the first one.
yeah.
The first one was good. I liked we didn't see that guy in the entire movie until one point.
Yeah.
And you can see with James Wan, he kind of uses the same actors to
Yeah.
his movie. Because in The Conjuring, he used the same people that were in Insidious.
Yeah.
And you just see him
Right.
come back and come back.
I think that James Wan is definitely someone that knows what he's doing, and I think he only picks projects that he is passionate for. Like a bit off topic, considering it is Halloween topical now, and horror, but like what he did with Aquaman,
Oh yeah.
amazing. And I think
Great.
that he really understands horror, and I think that, because the thing is, usually it doesn't, except for a few movies that have come out now recently, Aquaman being one of them, a lot of directors of horror move on to superheroes or whatever, and it doesn't work. But with people like James Swan, who, for one, he picks movies that he knows he can do something with, but also he always feels a passion for what it picks, that is where you have a good mix. Like, You throw James Wan in any sort of movie, I think he would do a great job, because what he did with Aquaman, which is what most people should do, but they don't. When it comes to horror and comedy, if you're good at one, you're probably good at the other one. Like me, I enjoy writing shit. I write comedies and I write horror for the most part because they have a tendency to go together. Go together.
They go hand in hand. Yeah.
Exactly. But the
You
thing
can
is,
make it, like,
it's
funny,
also
but-
imbalance. It's also imbalance, which also is something that I've noticed in a lot of recent horror movies, is the imbalance. The comical joke comes at the wrong time, or it's too much, and you fuck it up. Like a horror movie, if you have some sort of, let's say you have one character that he isn't a comical relief, but he is the comical relief, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like he's not there as an element of of a comic relief, but he is the one that brings it. He might come in with a joke here and there, like let's say at the start when the tension isn't high. He's the guy that makes a few jokes, and then maybe let's say somewhere later when they're in a bit of a tight spot, he might throw out one little one-liner, but not more than that. That's it. He's the guy that comes, or girl or whatever, that comes out with one little comment, but it's not going to be too much and it's not going to break the momentum of the situation that they're in. And that's one of the
Right.
things that James Wan really gets. But like other horror directors, they go from, when they choose a superhero movie, either they try to implement some sort of like scary horror into it, or they just fuck it up because they just can't find the balance. But James Wan finds the balance in both parks.
Yeah, in Aquaman, especially when they go to where all those ugly looking fish things are.
The crabs and stuff?
The crab looking. No,
Yeah.
not the crab one. The ones that were like when they
Oh,
went to
oh
the-
yeah, yeah. When they went out to the boat and they dove down. Yeah.
That was perfect.
That
I
was
didn't
great.
feel like it was just thrown in there.
Yeah.
There was a build. They were like, yeah, we're on a cool little boat, and then all of a sudden it gets dark. Like, oh man, it's a bad
Yeah.
storm. And now they got to drive a storm, and then all of a sudden this thing's on the boat, and everybody's looking around and
Yeah.
throwing
Like,
flares.
That was just perfect. Like the way that like when he breaks the silence, all of a sudden this thing is there. And also like when they dive down and the flare like lights up and like you see all of these things around them, that was fucking great. And also with the giant I don't remember the name of the creature, but you know, the squid thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it. It's in the comics as well. I don't remember it, but like when you just see these fucking massive tentacles coming towards them, you go, "Oh fucking hell, that's fucking scary." Because a lot of people fear the water or fear like the ocean or whatever, and it's not. They don't fear it because it's like water. They fear it because of the unknown.
You can't see what's down there.
Exactly. So just the thought of like, when people think like, okay, I don't like the water because I'm afraid of a shark is gonna come and bite me, or the unknowing, this how unexpected things can
Right.
just happen. And like when you just see a massive fucking creature with some massive tentacles, even though it's a movie, you see these things approaching him, and that is scary as fuck because you can relate to this, how scary it is. If you're if you're out diving and you see this shit coming towards you, you're gonna be fucking scared.
Yeah, 100%. And y'all were talking earlier about how he finds that balance. I agree with that. I have a very unpopular opinion about one of his movies. Me being a nerd, I get looked down on a lot about this one, but I absolutely hated the new Mortal Kombat that came out. In my opinion, it was terrible.
Did he
I
do
think
that?
he dropped the ball.
Yeah,
he did. I think
he did that, but
dropped the
I
ball
think
so
I think
bad.
he was because usually on like this Saw and everything, he's producer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was director on this one and not the producer, so I think that might be weird. I haven't seen that one yet. I just got it on Blu-ray, and I've done a bit of a marathon watching through the old ones, which are comically bad, but you know it's fun. So I'm gonna get around to watching that. I think that I've only seen the trailer, but from the trailers it looked very promising. Now, obviously, I can't judge something without watching it. But
If
again,
like,
here he was director, not a producer, or like whatever he was on the other ones was someone else was at this time, and he was the other thing.
the thing with Mortal Kombat is, if you want to watch a movie that's just about people beating the crap out of each other, then it's a good movie to just
Yeah.
watch. But if you want to see something that's faithful to the games, then no, you're not gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it was a letdown compared to the games. And I watched it with that kind of mindset. Like I I wanted something that went along with the games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it didn't, and it let me down. I came in with high expectations,
Yeah.
which wasn't his fault, but went in with high expectations and was just let down.
Yeah, I see. I see. But yeah, okay. So, I mean, we went a bit off topic, but your thing was what makes a horror movie scary, right?
Just
Yeah,
what makes
the yeah mine was the five elements that you need to make a horror fiction movie or
Yeah.
video game or anything.
I think, because obviously we talked a bit about it now, but I think that one of the things that really makes one thing that really hits home with most of them is hitting close to home. Is
Yeah.
if there's any sort of realism, like obviously it's not like I'm probably like, let's say there's a movie about sharks, like Deep Blue Sea, right? So,
Right.
some good horror movies about sharks, right? There are some really good ones out there. Jaws, for example. Now, I know I'm probably never going to go out diving for whatever, or for a treasure or whatever. But if I see a horror movie where someone is diving for treasure and all of a sudden there's a massive shark attacking them or some other animal, it doesn't hit close to home in the sense that I'm gonna do that, but it hits close to home with they're just normal people. They're just normal
Right.
people doing something that they enjoy or whatever the fuck. And it is when something has any sort of realism, that always hits home to me. That always hits very well in a horror movie. Now, obviously, not everything has to be realistic, but everything always has that element of realism that will hit close to you. Like, let's say It, right? It's a very good horror movie in my opinion. I'm older than those kids
Absolutely.
now,
Yeah.
obviously. I'm older than them. But if I all of a sudden see a fucking clown, because clowns are
Oh,
scary
I
enough
freak
for
out.
certain people, if I all of a sudden see a fucking clown staring at me with that face, holding a balloon, I am running. If I see that thing
100%.
transform, I am running. Like,
I kind of get what you mean by that.
yeah, like it's relatable in the sense that you know that if that happened to you, that would be fucking scary, and that makes it scary on the screen. But
I
if
tell you
some,
what movie
Uh,
yeah,
that scared me, because I live in really I live in like more. I'm 20 minutes from the nearest city, but that city isn't really a city; it's more like a town. But I'm out in the country more,
yeah,
so there was a lot of Jeepers Creepers when I first saw it when I was younger. It kind of scared me a little bit
yeah,
because he would fly back to this shack, and there was like this underground place he was at. Down my road, there was this old abandoned shack that like a crackhead lived in.
yeah,
He was terrible. He looked horrible. Uh, but I would walk down up and down my road, and it was an eerie place. If you ever walked down the driveway and saw where it was eerie. It was
yeah,
scary because there were all these trees down my road. Once you get past a certain area, it's just nothing but trees. If you're
yeah,
driving down my road in the dark by yourself, you're gonna start getting paranoid.
yeah,
And that's what it's like the bus scene from. I think it's the second one where they're all on the bus and the guy gets yanked out from the top or something.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
If you're driving down there, you're gonna get feelings of that.
yeah,
But that back to the shack part was the guy would have a chair, and he'd sit in the door, and he'd sit there and he'd whistle.
yeah.
Well, I didn't know what he was whistling, so in my head as a kid, that was the Jeepers Creepers whistle, and I would
Oh,
just run.
yeah. Okay, I see, I see.
And it's gone now. It fell over finally. I don't know what happened to the guy either, but it was an old rundown little shack that somebody used as a tool shed, and it's gone now. But when I was a kid, man, going down that little driveway, and it was encased like it was road, and then it would be this like this little sewage line, and then you'd look over, there's a driveway, a little encasing of trees, and just a house sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Like
Terrifying.
that's the thing. If something in any way, shape, or form can hit close to you, then that's scary. Obviously, some movies don't need that element, but that element usually is what drives the movie. Like I think the greatest examples are probably three of the most known, probably the three most known, maybe four, and that is Michael Myers, just a small town with this guy going around killing. obviously he has his targets, but you never know why you would end up being the target. Laurie ends up being the target because she walks close to his old home. That's the first thing, and then obviously you realize she's his sister. That's even worse for her. And then you have Scream. This guy just picking out people, killing them, whilst playing with them first. You have then you also have Freddy, who's like, when you sleep, this guy comes and fucking kills you. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a fucking crazy ass family that you fucking walk close to them and they fucking kill you. And like
Absolutely. And
all of those things are
you can't
scary.
you can't leave out Jason in that iconic,
No,
list
yeah.
right there.
See, the reason that I left out Jason was because I obviously you can't leave him out of the top like classic horror characters. Like you just see that mask. The first thing people think of is Jason. But the reason that I kind of excluded him a bit is because it will usually just like, the movies are fucking scary. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that on this premise, he's kind of just scary if you're going on some sort of school trip to like a lake. You get what I mean? That's
Like the summer camp.
yeah, like that's the way that hits home on this specific point.
Yeah,
But just in general, he's obviously that.
The reason why Jason hits home with me so closely is, if you go down the highway that I live near a little ways, and then you turn down one road, then you turn down, you keep going down the road, then you turn it down, you keep going down these twisty-turvy roads, you'll eventually come out at this place called Love Lady. It's a nice little lake area. It used to be a place that people would go to lose their virginity. My friend, actually Zero, one of the guys who'd probably be on the show at some point, he showed me where this was not too long ago. And I was looking at it, I was like, man, this would be a great place to film a horror movie, because there's a lake. It connects to a lake. There's all these camping spots, and there's a lake house not far from this area. So it's typical, like, looking at it, if I was to look at it the way I'd look at it if I actually found Jason scary, but I don't, because I've seen every single movie, gone in depth, and once you in depth with the movie, you can't be scared by it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So looking at this, I think this would be terrifying, because we were coming back at night and you were going up these windy road and there's no houses. It's all woods.
Yeah.
Like, man, this would be terrifying if Jason just stepped out in the road and blocked us from keeping it going. That was the only way out.
Yeah, exactly.
It was either that or you're going for a swim.
Yeah.
There was one road down, one road out. And it's terrifying. So I'm thinking this would be perfect.
Yeah. So I think Deadpool, like with what you said just at the start, like your 5, I think you really hit the nail on the head with those. I think that some of them definitely vary. Obviously, it depends on the horror movie. Like, you won't get the same stuff driving the horror in Predator as you will in, let's say, a Saw movie. But there are certain elements, as some of the ones that you've pointed out, there are certain elements that stick, and that is because they work. But then, obviously, in modern horror, you have a tendency to lose those in stuff like The Nun and stuff, because it's only, oh my god, this image is scary. Like, it's only, hey, does this image scare you? It doesn't, but like that's the entire point with the new ones.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm gonna dabble on what makes a good horror movie. Like you said, what are the things that make a good horror movie? You said fear, and go ahead and read the list. Let's try not to go on the rabbit trail. Read the rest of your list before we go into it.
Yeah, so mine are, there's fear. You gotta have the fear aspect. You gotta have a surprise factor to it. You gotta have that mysterious, like, who is this person? Who could it be? It could be anybody. You gotta have all of that. You in the 5th one that I kind of talked about a little bit is that suspense / foreshadow. You gotta have the foreshadowing aspect to where it introduces him, but you don't realize that it's introducing him or her in the beginning, or the idea, or the demon, or the ghost, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I think that's pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think that there are. Yeah, I think that there are some ground themes essentially or things that you need to have to make a good horror movie. And I think that one thing that I think that plays into every single horror movie, but I don't think everyone acknowledges in every single horror movie because it's not as blatant in every single one, is the general aspect of mystery. That, in my eyes, is very important. Like, let's say Michael Myers. You don't know what his intentions really are, and you kind of almost sort of don't really know who he is. When Jason first appears in the second movie, you kind of like, you know a bit, but you don't know too much. And then you realize, okay, it's a revenge that he's after, essentially. With Freddy, the entire concept isn't clear straight away. It's like, okay, this person was asleep and died. Well, what the fuck's the case here? Oh, he's a guy that killed you in your sleep, essentially. Jigsaw, you have no clue what his intentions are. You just know, okay, he's captured people, and he's killing them. He's giving them time to try to survive and flip their fucking life around. Okay, cool. What's his general motive here? Why is he doing all this? Okay, the poor man, he got cancer, got a second chance at life. Okay, then he crashed his car, got another second chance, and realized, okay, I've got a chance to do something here. Okay, yes, his thing isn't the best thing to do, but he still has a clear motive. Like with every character, there is a mystery added from the get-go. Obviously, whenever it's revealed, always fluctuates, but you never really learn everything at the start. You're always left wondering some stuff, and even sometimes at the end. Sometimes sequel setups are annoying, but in certain cases, leaving some mysteries open just makes for a greater sequel, which is why very often, like a sequel, a lot of times, depends on a lot of stuff though, but like sequels have a tendency to top the first one, and then the third one has a tendency to flop. And the thing that people don't end up realizing is it's not because the third one is bad, but it's just because of how good the sequel is. And then the sequel just topped the first movie just immensely, and then the third movie just isn't as good as the second one, and therefore it gets shit on. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't think that The Dark Knight Rises is a bad film.
I don't either.
I think that there's a lot of good parts of that movie, but the thing is, people have a tendency to shit on it because of how good the performances of the actors were, and also how good just the general story of The Dark Knight was. So people
Exactly, yeah.
and because of how much Dark Knight leaped Batman Begins, people just don't seem to appreciate The Dark Knight Rises as much. But the same people will also say that it is the greatest trilogy in movie history, which I could probably agree with, but still, the people that shit on it still say this. And if it would have been, then the third one can't be shit, because there are a lot of trilogies where all three movies are great. Now, how good they are obviously fluctuates, but they're all still good movies. So a trilogy, let's say the original trilogy in Star Wars, for example, which one you think is the best, I don't care. But I think every Star Wars fan agrees that all three movies are still good movies. Okay, so we have a trilogy with three good movies. Whether some are great or not doesn't matter. They're all at least good movies. And then you take the Dark Knight trilogy. Okay, the first one's good, the second one's great, but the third one's shit. Then that cannot be the greatest trilogy ever. Because then the original trilogy will beat it. Certain other trilogies will beat it. That's why it's good, great, and pretty good. That is how I see it. I think that it could definitely be the greatest, the best prequel or trilogy that is out at the moment. But I don't agree with the point of it being good, great, shit. I think it's good, great,
Usually
pretty good.
If you have two good movies and then the last one is crap, then that kind of ruins the whole, oh, this is the best trilogy. But you won't watch the third one. Why not? Because it's crap. Well, that's not a good trilogy. It's a good duology.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the
Facts. 100%.
First two Home Alone films are great. and the third one, a lot of people crap on, but they still say, oh, yeah, these two movies are great, but they don't make the third one.
Yeah.
So we don't talk about the third one, and we don't talk about the fourth one, and definitely not the fifth one.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't talk about one and two are the highlights, and then the other movies kind of,
Exactly.
You could argue that with a lot of film Like the first, there's what? There's 7, 8 Freddy movies. The Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Let's see.
I believe there's 8.
I'll
Not,
Google it.
not counting Freddy versus Jason right now. Just like I know there's, I think there's 6 or 7, and then there's the reboot, and then there was New Nightmare. Which honestly, I think the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies are probably where it's the best at, and then the other movies just kind of drag. And then you have
Okay, so there are 7 without the reboot.
without the reboot.
Yeah,
and then there's 8 with the reboot.
Okay. What? Okay, so yeah, I think like the first 3 are like where it's at its high, because you have the first one, which kind of like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
And the second one, you see him go full power massacre. And then the third one, it kind of like calms that down to what it could be an ending.
Yeah.
And then you just have the others that just kind of are choppy and are just there just to make money off the franchise.
Yeah.
And then I think once you get the New Nightmare, I didn't like New Nightmare. There are a couple people out there who like it. I don't like it personally.
I did not like it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a lazy, just get some more money for the late 90s.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
The reboot, it was okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I think that when it comes to horror reboots, there are some that are okay.
Well, yeah, that's what I think about the reboot.
Yeah.
Like, the Freddy, he doesn't look. Jackie Early's guy who played Freddy in that one, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
But he just looked like a rat. You know how
Yeah.
long his face was, made him look like a rat. And he didn't look right. He sounded and acted, had everything like Freddy. It was just like the face wasn't really all that great.
No, I get it.
The face it was too laxed upon.
Yeah.
He didn't fit the character that everyone knew for so long, and then they just threw him in the part, and his face didn't fit the voice and the acting and the persona that was Freddy, and it didn't work. It felt like a broken link in the chain.
Yeah. Like for me the biggest problem was just how the mask looked, because like the original looks great, but it's like I think they tried to make it more realistic, but in doing so they actually made it less realistic because it's a different type of mask, and they just ended up fucking it up in how they made him look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. The original Freddy that Robert Englund played, they tried to make it look like he was burnt and scarred.
Yeah.
And this new one made it look like he was just a little extra crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that's also one place that I think that it has gone really well is with the Saw movies. Now Saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They fluctuate in quality, but I think that they're all good, watchable movies, right? Then you get to 3D, which is essentially like the final chapter. So you go from 1 to 6, and then you get 3D for some reason. Why it wasn't called 7 beats me. But anyways, Saw 3D is the worst Saw movie by far.
Absolutely.
Jigsaw, the one from 2017, I liked, but I didn't love it in the same way as I did with the original 6. But I still liked it. I thought, you know what, I thought that it was a worthy reboot. Which it wasn't even a reboot, but I thought it was a worthy modern make of it. Yeah. Then you have a Spiral. I have not seen Spiral yet, but
I haven't either.
But I think which we could do an episode about that, by the way. We can make like an episode of us watching Spiral. I think that Spiral, just a theory. Now you obviously have what's his name? What's his Chris Rock, that's his name. Obviously he's the main role. I think he's also like the director or something. I think he's director or something along those lines. I think that he could, whatever role he plays, I think that role is going to be a good role. The problem is, I believe that Spiral is set as a prequel. I think it's set like a few years before the Saw movies, I think. or something like that. But my thought was, okay, how are they going to make this make sense?
Right.
Because the thing about the Saw movies is like, obviously vigilantes exist, but in the way that Jigsaw does it, the way that John Kramer does it, is unique, and that's where like everything goes in. Is like he is unique, and you don't know what you expect from movie to movie. But in this movie, if you set this up in the sense that if it is a prequel, which I think it might be. If it isn't, then okay. But I'll get onto that as well. If it is a prequel, you're essentially saying that Jigsaw is a copycat. That doesn't work. Because of the way that Jigsaw has built everything up, the way that he is, the way that he acts around everything he does, it puts it out to be, okay, he is the one who's thought about this in his way and everything like that. But if Spiral then, obviously I still haven't seen it, but if Spiral is a prequel, then he's a copycat that just did it better, but that just takes away a lot of shit from John Kramer. But then, okay, let's say that it's a sequel. Okay, well then we have another problem, because Jigsaw from 2017, that was a sequel because that was the guy who was a copycat. But then if you then make this as well, then okay, so are we just gonna make fucking copycat movies then? Is that the way that we're going with the Saw franchise now? Is we're just making some copycat movies, and that's the way we're going. So every new movie is just a new copycat trying to do what he did, but just failing at it. That doesn't work. Now, if you go the route of, let's say that I don't remember his name, but the doctor, let's say that you go the route of him and Amanda, they have taken up his mantle. Okay, you know what? I can get behind that. And they have their own new ideas. They do things in their own way, and they have their own little projects or whatever. I can get behind that. But when you just keep on making random copycats, that doesn't work. So I think that Spiral apparently, like, I haven't looked into it before I watched the movie though, but so if the movie, I can almost probably guarantee that it has probably flopped, because it doesn't work as a prequel, because then you make John Kramer a copycat, and it doesn't work as a sequel because then you just run on the narrative of, okay, we're just gonna make sequels of like copycats now. So right. I don't think that it's going to work unless somehow the character in the Spiral movie, unless that is like a younger John Kramer. But then you'll have to make that make sense in the case of, in the first Jigsaw movie, he was a case that I believe, there's been a while since I saw the first Saw movie, but if I'm correct, then like he was kind of known by some of the police, but it wasn't like a known massive figure. But okay, so then you can't make it too early, and you can't make it too late, because you can't cast the same guy and make him look any way younger. So
right, absolutely.
So like,
I think they're kind of playing with fire at this point, because they're gonna have to bring in, like some a younger version of him that looks similar to him, but a lot of people are gonna point out it doesn't look the same. The acting's not the same. The
exactly.
voice isn't the same. Even if they do it like how in the, I don't know who watching has seen The Mandalorian, but spoilers.
Yeah.
If they go to the point to where they did with The Mandalorian using the CGI and everything, like it'll look and feel the same, but you can still tell it's not the same. Or even with the Fast and Furious series with Paul Walker using the CGI. CGI is good, but it's not a perfect science yet.
Yeah, but the thing with Paul Walker as well was like, okay, they use his brother, so they have a fix there, and I think that's in the Fast and Furious movies. I think it looked really good, but the problem is, he doesn't have a younger brother that is 30 fucking years younger than him, so it doesn't work. And then in the Star Wars, like I was all for Sebastian Stan doing it, because you cut away his hair and his beard, he does look like Mark Hamill.
Exactly, yeah.
But no, they went this other route for some reason. But so I think that there are so many variables to take in, that I think that you can't do a good prequel to Saw unless Jigsaw had some sort of, unless it's like a journey of how a young John Kramer went through something that some guy
Right.
taught him, but then you also remove the fact that he didn't have a motive. But then when he almost died twice, that's when he got the motive. So you have to explain that in a good way. So a prequel to me just doesn't work. I love Chris Rock, and I think that he probably does an amazing acting job, and the movie will probably be. The reason that I say it probably has flopped isn't because I think it's going to be a bad movie, but I think that the people that are going to watch this movie have all probably watched at least, I would say, the first three Saw movies, probably. So people are going into this as Saw fans. People have probably seen the Jigsaw movie as well. But if you go into this, and this is a prequel, it doesn't matter how good the movie is, because if it removes anything from John Kramer's legacy, it is going to flop no matter what.
Absolutely.
So
Totally agree with you.
it's almost like you make a fucking, like, let's say let's say that Rogue One, let's say that was placed some years before, and they meet Luke, and he uses the Force. It doesn't make sense because he learns that he has the Force from Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda.
Exactly.
So you have to figure out a good solution, which I don't think there is one for Saw. So if it is a prequel, doesn't matter how good the movie is, it's going to be a bad Saw movie.
Yeah, it's not gonna meet the expectations that have been placed before. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not gonna meet
exactly.
the original Saw expectations, the original Saw outcomes.
Yeah.
And just the amazing job they did with those.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we got a little off topic there.
Yeah,
We talked about all five of those aspects. What exactly what was your topic that you were bringing at the table today?
My topic. Oh shit, we lost a guy. Oh wait.
Yeah, so it looks like everyone watching. It looks like Guy has a storm in his area right now. He said he'll be back here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
He's just working out some technical stuff, but yeah, we'll keep trucking on for now.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, I can bring my topic. So my topic, which I think you might probably guess considering that was the examples I used, is a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because obviously zombies, they are probably the most nostalgic horror costume, I would say, other than maybe like a Scream mask. I think that everyone dresses up pretty much as a zombie at some point in their life for Halloween, right?
Absolutely.
So
I think it's just the birthplace of the horror genre.
Yeah.
It's just the zombie apocalypse.
It's like it says a bit when like old classic horror zombie movies from like the 60s and stuff still hold up as good zombie movies. That is when you know, okay, that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
And now I love the Zombieland movies, both of them.
Same.
I think that that's also a place where, like, you know how we talked about the balance of like serious and horror, or comedy and horror. I think that those movies, the way that they thrive is, if when it comes to the balance, it depends on what you establish early. And at the start of the first Zombieland, when he's reading off his rules, they established, okay, this probably isn't going to be a super serious movie.
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, exactly. And that is where these movies thrive, is they have some serious parts here and there where you go, oh shit. But for the most part, they're comical. Like when he fucking hits the clown zombie, like when he takes the hammer and hits him on the nose and you hear like the beep, the like classic clown beep. That is funny, but like there is a bit of a seriousness when he goes like from the don't be a hero and it drops away and it's like be a hero.
I was just gonna say that. Like that that was that, you know, at the beginning it's don't be a hero, then he finds a girl that he like falls in love with, and then it's be a hero all of a sudden. He scratches out that don't.
It's like you feel, because this is when it like builds up to be serious, when Tallahassee or whatever his name is, when he's like in like the little cage and all the zombies are around him, he just shoots everyone. The two girls, they're stuck up in the carousel thing, and then he's going to try to save them. Okay, he's got to fight this clown first, which was established early, which is also really good in this. Like everything falls together really well. is like, okay, they had established he fucking hates clowns. Okay, what's his biggest fear now? What does he meet? He meets a massive, fat, fucking zombie clown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does he
Yep.
do? Drop the don't. I'm going to be a hero now. Don't be a pussy. I'm gonna fuck up this clown and I'm going to save them. So what does he do? He fucks up the clown. And then, at this point it's a bit serious, but then they break it in a really good way because obviously he had his little monologue in the background whilst fighting it. And then when he ends the monologue, they break everything with him hitting the clown, and you hear the noise. You hear the clown
Yep.
beep. And that is just fucking great. That's the way to establish a balance and keep going with it. But
Absolutely.
so the main part of my topic is if we end up in a zombie apocalypse, what are we bringing? So first, my thought was, okay, what weapons do you bring? That's my first thing. My first thing is you have 2, possibly 3 weapons. Your first weapon is going to be some sort of firing weapon, whether it be a gun, a fucking bow and arrow, or a crossbow, whatever. Long range. Second, you have a short range. And third, if you want to, you have a sidearm. So my question to you: what 3 weapons are you going with, or 2? If you just want to do long range and close combat, then what are your 2 weapons?
I'll have to go. Honestly. Oh, that's tough. For obvious reasons, noise reduction. I'm going with a bow or a crossbow for long range.
Yep.
You can make arrows, so you have unlimited amount of ammo there. That's a obvious. You don't want to draw everything to your position at the time. So I'm going with a bow or a crossbow for that long range. For up close and personal, or even like a melee, I would say I'm gonna go with like the old school samurai katana, bro. Like,
Ooh.
just cut anything down in your way, bro. You keep that thing sharp, and it's not gonna fail
A
you. They
bit
cut,
bit
they
bit
cut
bit of
through
Michonne
bone.
action.
A little bit, yeah, man. A little
Yeah.
bit, yeah. And I think another, like, my last weapon I'm gonna go with is a baseball bat with nails.
Oh, so we're closing into Negan on that one. I mean, he's got barbed
Oh
wire,
yeah,
but damn. All right.
yeah. You get that. You get, say you have a big fat clown zombie, right? And
Yeah.
you can't pull a shot, or like you don't have your katana. That baseball bat, one hit to the head, boom, done. He's
Yeah.
dealt with it.
All right. That's pretty good. So what I'm going with, I thought the same. I thought a crossbow or a bow and arrow. I think I'm gonna go with a crossbow, considering it is easier to use. Obviously, it's more difficult to reload, but it's still probably easier to get right, and also, it shoots harder. So
Absolutely.
I
And
think
you
that,
can attach sights to those too, so it's
yeah,
practically, a gun that just shoots arrows
yeah, like
at nothing.
I actually I had not the same conversation, but sort of similar conversation with a friend, and he was like, "Okay, I'm bringing an assault rifle. I'm putting a silencer on it. I'm putting a scope on it. Next to it, I have a night vision scope with thermal. I'm putting some sights, no, some laser on it. I'm putting a flashlight, extended mag, and he just went all in. So that was a lot of fun.
Jeez.
But for my melee, I thought the same. I thought a katana, but I thought also maybe a machete.
Yeah.
Because the thing about a katana, the difficult thing there is, which also actually thinking about it, Michonne has actually done, is if it's too close, if the zombie or whatever is too close, pulling it out is gonna be difficult. Because it's a long sword that you have in a holster or whatever, whatever, and it
Right.
takes it's so long that pulling it out is difficult. But then with the machete, you just have that on your side. It's short. Like, it's just like take it off, boom, pull it out, slash. So I think that my second weapon is going to be a machete. And then
Okay.
for my third, I kind of want to have a sidearm. So I think, because obviously conserving ammo is very important. So I think a Desert Eagle. I think a Desert Eagle with a silencer on it, with with the option of a scope.
Yeah.
Not having the scope on at all times, but having the possibility to do it. That's what I think is going to be my third weapon. All right, so now we've established a few weapons. Now, what do you do? Everything is broken out, so what do you do? Do you meet up with a family member? Do you meet up with certain friends and find a way to go with them? Do you go to take a boat and go to an island? Do you leave the country? What is your plan? What do you do?
Hmm. You know, honestly, it's notorious in every zombie movie, every zombie show, everything. Everyone looks for the survivor camp, right?
Yeah,
Uh, I, I, I don't believe in that. So I'm
yeah,
kind of. Some people say it's a ruthless plan because I've had this conversation with my brother. My brother's huge into zombies.
okay,
Um, so my plan is ruthless. You know, like if you don't bring something to the table, then you don't get to go with me. Obviously, you know, like my plan, like I said, it's another notorious fact about shows and movies and books and comics is zombies don't like the cold. So I'm gonna
yeah.
go way up north where it's always snowing.
Come to
I'm
me,
gonna
bro.
build
Come to me.
myself.
Come to Norway.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm gonna set up a good little camp out in the cold. And like I said, if you don't bring something to the table, you can't hang, bro. Like, sorry.
Yeah,
I'll feed you to the wolves for 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 the day. Like, sorry,
yeah,
bro, but that's how it is. Because at the end of the day, it's my survival that I'm relying on. I'm the only one who knows my own capabilities.
yeah,
So I'm gonna choose people I can trust, to choose people I can rely on,
yeah,
uh, that I would be comfortable putting my survival in, and I hope that I'm with people that can do the same. It
yeah,
shows me that they're comfortable with their life in my hands at the same time.
yeah,
So I'm gonna go somewhere cold. I'm gonna set up a camp, small numbers, only people I can trust, small inner circle. It sucks to say, but most of my family, I don't think they'd survive in that situation, so they won't be
yeah.
going with me. At the end of the
But
day,
so
they have to look out for themselves.
so you establish yourself. You think that you would be definitely be the leader of whatever group you're part of, right? Do you
I wouldn't
establish
really
it?
say the leader, but you know, I would just kind of run on my own. If a group does happen to form, it would definitely have to be a voting aspect to where if
Yeah,
someone is like, hey, we should have a leader, then everyone should vote on who that should be. I'm not going to be the
yeah.
person to be like, well, I'm the leader. I'm doing this.
All right.
Because some people have more leadership experience than I have.
Yeah,
I was only in the army for so long, so I don't have all the leadership skills in the world. There's definitely someone who has more than me,
yeah,
who has a better head on their shoulders than I do. But if it came down to it, to where it was a voting factor, and they were like, "Hey, Deadpool should be the leader," like, all right, cool, I guess, let's do
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
But
I remember when in that conversation with some of my friends, everyone pointed to me as a leader. So I guess I have something that would work. Probably because I'm very fair, a
yeah,
very fair person, and I probably bring certain things to the table that would be good as a leader. Just sounds like I'm bragging now, but But anyways, so yeah, no, but that actually sounds like a really good plan. I was actually thinking the same. My thought was, okay, either just stay in Norway, because, well, for one, we're not that highly populated, so it's not a massive population. So I don't think that clearing out the zombies would take that long. But also,
right,
you have no idea how they get to you. Like, it depends on what type of zombie it is. But like usually, if you just go with a base zombie, some zombies will definitely come to you in some way, shape, or form. So my thought was, find a boat, find some clothes, some warm clothes, get some resources, and go up to like the North Pole or whatever the fuck. Somewhere that, because obviously, like when there's sun up there, you don't need to like have your hood on and just walk around freezing, because it's not hot, but like it's not so cold that you're gonna die if you don't wear anything on your head. Like, you just wear the jacket, the pants, and the boots, and you're probably good. The reason that I
absolutely.
would go there is, you take a boat over there. All right, in the boat you'll have a lot of resources, and you could probably stay warm in that partly. You could take with you some resources to build a little hut or whatever that you could probably find some way to get solar electricity to, so you could live there and stay warm in there. You'll probably have it with you a few people. There's plenty of food. You can fish. You can do whatever. If you are, for some whatever reason, if you're desperate for travel, all you've used the boat for is traveling to the North Pole or whatever it is, so you can travel back if you really need something, or a friend sends you a fucking messenger text like, "Hey yo, where you at?" Um, so I think that that's probably a good idea, because obviously with the cold, but also you're all alone. Who over there? Like, there's not gonna be anyone there, and two, they probably don't even know that there's a fucking apocalypse going on. So you're probably gonna be safe, and there's no way of the zombies to getting you, because, well, the zombies, they can't swim. So let's say that zombies, they travel by walking at the bottom of the ocean or whatever, and they can still travel from another country to another one. Up with the North Pole and everything, shit just floats. So they can't crawl up. They can just like they can walk below me, but they can't fucking climb up and get to me realistically. Welcome back in, guy. So so I think that going over there, getting just the right resources, and I think you're fucking good for the rest of your life. Like, you just wait until the apocalypse. You can take like in 5 or 6 years, you can take the boat over. See, like, how's it going over here? Still in the apocalypse? We're going back, guys. Come on. So
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, you can fish, and you're probably gonna be good for the rest of time. You can just live there the rest of your life.
Pointing out the aspect that, zombies can't swim. Let's just assume no zombie can swim, right?
Yeah.
Even, stealing some rich dude's yacht and just living out in the middle of a fucking lake somewhere,
Yeah.
or out in the bay. Just throw that anchor down, you're set. You need supplies, go on shore real quick with a mini boat, run back to the ship, you're good.
See, the reason that I didn't go with that route is because of other people. Going to Antarctica or the North Pole or whatever, people aren't going to do that because they don't think about all the props of doing it. They just think, no, cold, that's about it. But,
exactly, yeah.
But when you're just like out in the Bay Area or whatever, other people, because I think that the way that people are nice to each other in The Walking Dead and stuff isn't realistic. I think that people will be ruthless in, obviously, shit's a few years, there's been a few years certain places, but I just think that people wouldn't be as nice, because it's not, in a realistic world, people panic. They're desperate.
Absolutely.
They don't think of every situation. So they just kill, be like, okay, I can get this shit. So I think that just being out in the open in the Bay Area, I think you're probably going to be a quick and easy target, because multiple people are going to go, okay, we get that boat, we're good as well. And then someone else goes, if we get that boat, we're good. Someone else comes, okay, if we get that boat, we're good. So that's the general mentality. So that's why I think if you go somewhere that is, quote unquote, like off limits to people mentally, you're probably going to be good. The plan of just going out with the boat is a really good idea just in general, but I think that if you go somewhere specific, not the Pacific, but specific, I think you'll be I think you'll be pretty good. So yeah.
Now, pulling in another aspect of that, say we are at the North Pole, and we're starving for food because there's not many animals up there. I mean, there are some, but there's not many.
Fish.
We'll be living off fish mostly. Say our camp, we encounter a zombie bear, if that's possible in this reality, this realm of existence. A zombie bear, right? When we kill it, do we eat it or do we leave it alone?
Zombie, because whatever infected it has liable to affect me.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That body sitting there is going to attract other zombies, other animals. Burning the body is going to attract other things. So how do we dispose of this?
You pack up shop and you go find another area.
That's one option, but I think another option could just be that you bury it in the snow.
Yeah, that could be a viable.
Because if we're going to, this is gonna be a dumb sentence to say, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Obviously, we talked about global warming. earlier off the podcast, and I think that obviously a zombie apocalypse is probably going to, if we are the cause of it, which seems to be population's train of thought number one. Even though I disagree, let's say that we are the sole reason that this is happening. It's going to slow down global warming, in which case the snow won't melt. They'll just bury the thing 6 feet deep. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my thought on it.
Because zombies, the way they're described in most places, they're not gonna be fleshy health people. They are flesh and brain. So eventually, they're gonna rot.
Yeah.
So how long does it take for a body to decompose underground, not exposed in air? It takes like 5 years.
Yes, something like that.
And imagine above ground, they're walking around in heat, cold. They're gonna decompose way faster.
Yeah, I think that this was discussed in a podcast I watched about The Walking Dead, and I think that obviously the reason that the apocalypse isn't over is because a lot of the zombies aren't people that have died; they've just been infected, right? So that's where some of them won't decompose as quickly because they haven't died; they've just been infected. But the ones that have died, as the creators even have taken into account, is like, you see season for season, they get more and more decayed, the zombies that come, most of them at least, right? And I think that there was an estimate on how long the bodies would survive. I think was around 2 years, 2.5 years, like that. But like then at the 2 year, 2.5 year mark, then it's like pretty much just bones, which some of the zombies are. So obviously there is difference in when these zombies have died. So I think that that's definitely going to be taken into account, because like people that survive the first few months, maybe in the first year, might die after 1.5 years. Like you see that in The Walking Dead, like characters that have been with us for God knows how long, like for 6-7 seasons, they die, and you know that's how it goes. But so I think that as long as it's not World War Z zombies, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Because if they're World War Z zombies, then Jesus fucking Christ, God help us. Like,
they're crackheads.
like they climb on each other to get over a wall. They're fast as fuck. They're strong.
Yeah, they're a different breed.
They jump. Like they are just fucking. Think of like. Obviously, the entire concept of a zombie means that what they're doing would not be possible if it's just a general zombie virus. But the thing is, viruses can do a lot of weird shit.
That's true. I mean, take Resident Evil zombies, for example.
Yeah.
They just started off as typical everyday zombies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like Nemesis is a fucking bitch, by the way.
Yeah.
So like the thing is, let's say this virus resurrects you as dead, or like if you get infected, you become a zombie, but you don't get the decay, because some viruses. The thing is, viruses have a tendency to bring in bacteria, and let's say that they bring in a certain bacteria that somehow keeps you somewhat fresh in a sense. Then those World War Z zombies are not as unlikely, because think about it. If let's say that you are really fucking fast and you get infected by a zombie virus that makes you a brain dead, whatever the fuck, but you still have your abilities because it's not a rotting virus, it is an amplifier, as well as it fucks up your brain and you're pretty much dying at the same time, right? You're dying, but your abilities are still not gone. Usain Bolt would be he would be on the top of the leaderboard every single round, because he just paces around killing people. That is how that would go with certain viruses. So people go like, oh, why are there so many different zombie movies and stuff like that? It's because zombies are created via viruses. And viruses can take so many different shapes and forms and do so many different things to your body. Some are very similar, as is the reason that a lot of zombie movies have a tendency to they follow the same steps they have certain different outcomes, but they follow this basic same steps. Like brain dead, decaying flesh, they're a bit slow, but they can still get you. And stuff like that. Like their bodies are very weak, so like if you rip in their arm, it goes off. Like most people follow like the same ingredients, but the dish is different. That is, for example, to use a very modern example, is COVID. It is obviously a unique new virus, but the thing is, your symptoms are all things we have seen before. It's just that it's amplified because the virus is a different virus. So all this goes into account when it comes to the zombies. For all we know, whatever zombies they are, they might be able to swim. They won't. They can't swim to whatever the North Pole or whatever, because one, they will probably not be able to do it fast enough. It's too far for anyone and anything, and they'll probably like get run over or something, or eaten by a shark.
Whatever, eaten.
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that go into, even if the zombies could swim, I don't think that they would be that massive of an issue.
Well, you see, for an example, like you were talking about earlier, people still having their abilities in Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a virus that turned them into rotting flesh. It was more of it affected their mind. They could still talk, walk, use their abilities.
Yeah.
They were just hungry. They had this huge hunger that took over everything in their mind that made them eat. That they just wanted to eat and eat and eat.
Or it's like Dr. Zoom from the Flash, both the comics and the TV show. He is a zombie, but he still has his abilities. It's just that some of his abilities are amplified, but it's just that he's just a fucking zombie that has a specific target that he's hunting.
Yeah, and that's what makes it very, very dangerous. Like if you have someone like, I'm just gonna throw an example out here, like someone who can throw really good, like a good quarterback.
Yeah.
They get infected. I can throw this as hard as I can, as fast as I can, and hit you in the back and knock you down. And I can run up and eat you now.
Yeah, exactly.
But Usain Bolt would be fucking horrifying as a zombie.
Exactly. Or like someone like I don't know, like Cristiano Ronaldo. Like I don't know how much you guys know about him, but he's the world's greatest football player, soccer player. One of the things that, like, you know how, like, I assume you have seen some soccer, so like, you know, like how people jump off and go for a header and try to head the ball in the net. Yeah. He once did a jump that was, now he is, let me just check, because he has just a fucking, his jump is fucking inhuman. Alright, so he is 6 foot, he's almost 6'2", right? But okay, so he's almost 6'2", but then we go highest jump. So when he jumped, he added his highest jump was he added over a meter to his height. So he is 1 meter 87 centimeters. His highest jump, when the top of his head was 2 meters 93 centimeters in the air. Damn. That is higher than NBA players. And when you think that this guy, he can jump like that, and he's got the physicality of, he's 36, 37, but he's got the physicality of a prime fucking 28, 29-year-old. You think, okay, he could jump anywhere I stand. The motherfucker jumps up, and then he just fucking knocks me out. Like certain athletes, you're just fucked against. So I'm happy I live in Norway, because the only thing that we can do is ski.
No, I live in down south of the United States. I live in Alabama. We just shoot first.
Yeah. Which, by the way, because you weren't here for this, so I started my topic of zombie apocalypse. I started with if you could bring 2 or 3 weapons, what would you bring? So the criteria for the first weapon is it has to be some sort of long range, like whether it's a bow and arrow or an assault rifle, I don't care, whatever. And then the second weapon has to be a melee weapon. And the third can be sidearm, second melee, different melee, like that does something different. So what are your 2/3 weapons?
Well, I think my main thing is I think stealth is your best friend in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because if the zombies hear you, they turn like, oh, food source.
Yeah.
And then some zombies just they smell your flesh, so they're coming to eat you.
Yeah.
But if we're doing the kind of towards if they hear you, they're gonna swarm, kind of
Yeah.
like in Dead Rising.
Yeah.
I would rather go with something silent, like a bow and arrows. Is my primary.
So you got pretty much the same route as me and Deadpool, because I went for a crossbow and he went for a. Did you go for bow and arrow double?
Yeah, I said bow and arrow or crossbow. I mean, either
Yeah.
one. I bow hunt a lot, so I'm
Yeah.
used to bows. So I think I'd be fine with either, honestly.
Yeah.
I think for my melee weapon should be a second one. I would rather have something that is good to pierce. So I'd probably get a katana of some sort.
Yeah, that's same route as Deadpool.
And then as my third weapon, I'd have to bring something that's like really compact that I can conceal, or something like just in case I met any other survivors. I'd probably bring, like either a small knife or like a little 22 pistol, just to scare people. Like, oh, don't shoot that! You're gonna attract zombies. Like, well,
Yeah.
if you're gonna rob, I'm gonna blow your brains out, and then we're
Yeah. So
you
you
play Dead by
yeah.
Dead by Daylight. What is Dying Light?
Dying Light, yeah.
You play that, use a gun, these zombies are gonna swarm you, and all
Yeah.
the other slower zombies are gonna come after you. That's what kind of mindset I'm going with. So like a small 22 to scare people.
Yeah, you went close to what we went, because I went crossbow, then I went machete, because it's I explained that the reason I went for a machete is because of when you pull out a katana, it's so long that like if something is very close to you, you might struggle. But a machete is so short, you just bring it out and cut it. But piercing obviously is better for a katana. And then my third weapon, I went with a silenced deagle. So that's what I went with. Deadpool, you went with.
I went with the baseball bat with the nails in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So he went that.
Suppressed weapons are not what people think they are. You think, oh, they're silent all the time. No, that's for long range. If you have a silenced deagle, which by the way is hard to do, because you're still gonna hear the mechanism fire and it's loud.
Oh yeah. I know.
Clank, and you're just hearing. You're not hearing a kabang and then it echoes. You're hearing a.
Yeah.
If you're in a room, that's still loud. But if you're outside and you're shooting them from like the entrance to Walmart to the end of the parking lot, it's fine.
Yeah, I know. So my thought with it was, okay, I know that it still makes a bit of noise, obviously. But my thought was, okay, for one, conserving ammo. Deagle, if I just aim headshot, they're dead. That's one shot. All right, so that was part of it. But also, obviously, a silencer is gonna run out, so you'll have to swap out the silencer at some point. But my thought was, okay,
Yeah.
Silence Deagle. I it's a weapon that I know how to use. So I thought, okay, it's something I know how to use. I got good accuracy, so I don't need to have something else because I'm not gonna waste the ammo. And also, it's a bit of long range, so like if something is too far away, I'll still get it. I did consider using a sniper because I've used hunting weapons before, so I've got good accuracy from long range, and I have a steady hand. So I thought of a sniper, but I thought whoever I'm gonna bring with me, because I'm definitely getting some of my friends. If needed, one of them will probably bring one. Whoever is the best doesn't matter, because both of us are probably gonna use it, because I'm probably gonna shoot them if they don't let me use it. So I thought, okay, bringing different weapons is probably appropriate, and also Deagle, you kind of get a pistol and a sniper in the same thing. It's a long range pistol.
Yeah.
Technically, so I thought, okay, it's good from long range because I'm probably not gonna stay on top of a building and snipe people, but I can still have long range on it, whilst conserving ammo and whilst having the accuracy and the damage needed. So that was my thought with a Deagle. So yeah, but then okay, so we've established our weapons. Now me and Deadpool have gone through this, but now it's to you. You establish your weapons. What do you do? Do you meet up with some friends? Do you go somewhere specific? Do you meet up with friends and then go somewhere specific? Do you just stay with where you are? Do you go out of the country? Like, what is your plan?
So, not many people might not think about this, but I don't want a huge flock of people around me. I want like
Yeah.
a small group, like 4 or 5.
Agreed.
So what I would do, I would want my friends to, one, my buddy Casey, at his house. He has enough guns to supply an army. So we'd immediately go to his house and get weapons that we needed. I have some weapons here, but not a lot to count.
Yeah.
So we get all the supplies. Cause you still got kitchen knives that can be used and stuff like that. So you get like the bigger kitchen knives and stuff. Things you can use, set traps, like wire. I'd go to my buddies. I gather about 5 of them. Go to my buddy Casey's house. We get all the guns we would need and not take them all. We'd hide the rest in his house, like even under the floor and stuff.
Yeah.
So if we need to go back and get them. And then there's a school that's in the middle of basically nowhere. You go up this giant hill, and there's a school. And around this school, there's open fields and a little bit of woods, but not a lot. And it's a very old school, so the majority of it is concrete, and the windows are pretty sturdy. So we just get some plywood, and like down the road from the school is a place that ships out plywood and different types of wood. So we just go down there, get some plywood, go to that school. So not the entire place,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, because you wouldn't want to spend all your time doing every single room. One, we'd clear it. Any survivors we'd find, we'd consolidate them down and see what we could do.
Yeah.
And then just secure the best place in the school, which would be basically the new gym that's there. It's made out of mostly tin, but
Yeah.
we could fortify that up because now the walkway is enclosed between the school and the new gym, so we can just reinforce that some more. Go into the little parts of the school, board off certain areas, and stay there as long as we could.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's a pretty good plan as well.
And the school cafeteria has that cheap food, but it's food.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good plan.
That's also because like most of that food is probably gonna be some of it at least gonna be frozen as well. So you're probably gonna be good with that. Okay, so we've established weapons. We've established what we do. Now, let's say that you meet another group. This group are hostile. Therefore you're hostile towards them, and there's a threat, and people are threatening each other with a battle, or killing each other essentially. All of a sudden, within the group, you see a very familiar face. This could be like whether it's a family member or friend, just someone that you're very close to, someone that you hang out a lot with, or like you're very close.
Yeah.
They see you. What do you do in this situation? Do you, for example, take them to the side and go? Do you go the bias route and say, "Hey, get your guys to back down. This is our spot." Do you start questioning them, like because obviously this can break down their trust of you in case of you not trusting them? Do you ask them like, "Are these guys friendly? Do you trust them? Can we trust them? What if they backstab us? What do we do then? Or whatever, right?" Do you ask them to ditch the other people and join you, or do you get them to try and establish a friendship between the two groups? But in this case, you become one massive group of probably 20, 30 people. Which route are you going?
So my thought on this is I don't care if I know you or not. You know, if you already have an established group, an established plan in a place that you're calling your own home base, it's kind of the rules of the apocalypse at that point. Like, we are here first, we have dibs, get the fuck out, or you know, you have to live with the consequences.
All right. So you're just saying like, "Hey, yo, get your boys to back out."
Yeah. Tell them that they need to leave and we stay.
All right. Guy, what is your thought?
Well, considering where I'm held up at
Mm-hmm.
and how big this school is. This is a fairly big school. I would definitely offer at first, because I wouldn't call my friend up. Because if they're hostile towards us, and when I say, "Hey, I know that guy," they might turn around and hurt him.
Yeah.
I'd study how he's looking. If he's looking nervous, like, "Oh crap, I didn't know it was you," or y'all, or whatever, then
Mm-hmm.
I just want to study them first. If they're immediate, like they're hostile too, even though they recognize us, it's gone. Game
Mm-hmm.
over. Rules of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
But if they are like, "Oh shit," then I'm definitely gonna be like, "Okay, this school is big enough. We can share food and stuff. I'll offer. We can help you board up this area." I'd offer them to have a certain section of the school. It wouldn't be right next to ours. It'd be set off.
Yeah.
So that way we could all have what we need. The
Yeah.
only problem is the cafeteria at this school is on the other side of where I was set up. And so they'd be closer to the food, so all I have to do is do territory. So really,
Oh.
it depends on how they act.
Yeah.
If they are completely hostile, I'm just going to have my group back up, holster down, warn them if they keep going. I don't want to have to open fire because that's going to attract a lot of attention. So
Yeah.
probably what I would do is just offer peace and ask them nicely to leave. If they don't, then what happens, happens.
Yeah. I think you started that off really. I'm not saying that it ended badly. I'm saying you started that off really well by saying, considering where you're at. Because I think that in Deadpool's situation, hey, just get away, this is our spot, I think that works a lot better because it isn't a massive school. So in the massive school, I think it makes more sense to try and befriend them. In my case, I'm at the North Pole, so I'm probably not going to get into this situation of meeting someone else.
Yeah,
But
same.
and also it's pretty easy to, like, we're not going to get into a fight over where to stay because it's fucking massive. So my thought was, okay, if I have an established place, I think I would, because the thing is, if they're part of this group, then there's probably, considering the fact that it is an apocalypse and how we've discussed how shit is gonna go, they probably trust them enough, right? And if they're with the group in a position where you can see them, then the group trusts them as well. So my thought is, either I ask them to join us, because if the group then is as good to them as it seems, then they'll respect their decision if they want to join us. Or I ask them to try to join us, but we establish rules. Because rules are very important, but I think asking them to join could work as long as we establish some rules, because they clearly trust them. And they're clearly, if you know this person, let's say it is, like, as I said, like a family member or a best friend or whatever, you trust this person trusts the group. Chances are, if the group establishes that, okay, this person knows all of them, we're probably going to be able to get along somehow. Whether we always talk, that's another thing, but trying to get them to establish some sort of friendliness, it's kind of like a common deal, so we don't kill them, they don't kill us. That's as far as it actually needs to go. Is just like, we just stay off each other's radar, and if anyone ever needs something, we can ask, but don't fucking freak out if you get a no, right? So that's my immediate thought, is try to establish some sort of friendliness between you and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I definitely think this is my favorite topic now.
All right. Nice. So, that's all I had to bring to the table for my topic. I think that zombies and zombie apocalypse is probably something that we could probably dedicate an entire podcast to at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's
it's
massive.
Like I said earlier, it's literally the birthplace of horror. It's the bread and butter of any like true horror like film or game or movie or anything there is. Like, zombies can be incorporated. I mean, Star Wars alone had its own book thread about zombie stormtroopers.
Exactly.
There's zombie Marvel. There's zombie DC. There, it can be incorporated into anything. So it's honestly the greatest talking point of any horror themed anything.
Zombies are the global language of entertainment, I would say.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly what I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for my topic. So, Guy,
Okay. I figure we're going on what, an hour now.
we're another hour and a half, but okay. Yeah.
I guess we'll try and do mine quickly so we don't ruin everybody. Unless people are doing a long drive, then I don't think they're gonna want to sit here and listen to this for an hour unless they're doing something. But my topic was kind of half-assed because at first I didn't know what to say. My first topic was what would be like your signature horror movie kill that you would want to show. But then it kind of evolved to when you bring someone that doesn't watch horror slashers, horror at all. They've never watched a single thing because they were either too scared or they just didn't. What movie would you want to show them that
Ooh.
it personifies
Ooh.
horror to you?
That's actually a really fucking good question. I'll say that's pretty good. Fuck.
I mean, I know mine.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a few, so you can go with yours first and explain why.
You know, honestly, one of my all-time favorite horror movies ever made is The Exorcist. Not
Ooh.
only because it's just such an early stage horror film, it's just iconic in the whole horror realm. The Exorcist was when I was a child, I watched it and it just absolutely terrified me.
Yeah.
And it just mixes that, you know, real life horror with religious horror, and in such an iconic way that people who aren't even religious get so terrified of the movie and start wondering, are there really demons that can take over my body?
Yeah.
And that being said, when someone tells me, hey, I've never watched a horror movie, I'm trying to really get into it, like, show me something that's going to scare me. Movies don't scare me. Show me something that's going to scare me. That movie terrifies everybody.
Because that also
That's why
hits
I love
on
it
what
so
we
much.
talked about earlier, is that it hits close to home. All of a sudden, your child just gets possessed. Like, what the fuck do you do? But I've actually,
Exactly.
I also, I talked with a friend about this once, and we said, like, movies like this, like The Exorcist, where it's like the solution is like calling to God. It's kind of like religious propaganda.
Oh, absolutely.
So
100%.
we thought, like, yeah, it's a bit funny that, like, through a fucking horror movie, it's religious propaganda. Like, that is.
Well, when you think demon, you immediately think angels, and when you think angels, you think God. So I don't
Yeah.
think it was a complete propaganda thing. I think it was just they were basing it off what they
Yeah.
do.
Like, I don't think that it was intentional, but, like, technically, like, it comes across. Like, I'm not saying that people assume that that's what the intention was. I'm just saying that on a technicality, it is religious propaganda because it's like, believe in us
Yeah.
because we help you. Not saying that that was their goal, but, like, it's a bit funny to think about that. It kind of is.
Yeah,
But yeah,
think
no,
what's
The
creepy about
Exorcist is
that
a good
movie-
shout. Yeah.
I think what's creepy about that movie is the girl, the lady who plays the little girl. I don't remember her name. I don't really have a good face right now because I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah.
But just the way she moved while
Yeah.
she looked possessed and the crackling noises they made for it
Yeah.
is what scared people because they were sitting there. She's just laying on the bed and all of a sudden she starts fucking floating. And
Yeah.
now she's breaking around and doing flips and shit and she's bending like a gymnast. And you're
Yeah.
like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so you're scared because it's unnatural.
Yeah.
It looks weird. She's suddenly on all fours screaming.
Yeah.
And you
Actually-
think it's fine, and then all of a sudden it just
Yeah.
says, nope, it's not fine anymore. Buildings are burning.
It's like sector clear. Not clear. Not clear.
It is
Yeah,
clear.
exactly.
Not clear, not clear.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I know what I would do. I would go with the Wizard of Oz. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you got to. That line's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know what to. Okay. You know what? Here. I think I might go with a classic little Jack Nicholson. If you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Shining.
The Shining.
The Shining.
Exactly. I think that The Shining would probably be Now, the reason that it took me a while is because there's so many that I could easily show to represent what great horror is. But there, now, obviously, my main thought, as you thought as well, the first thing I go to are the classics. Anything like Jason, like The Exorcist, fucking Mike Myers, Candyman, like anything, all the classics. That's why my first instinct now was The Shining. But thinking about it as well, the newest reboot of The Invisible Man.
Oh,
Have you seen it?
I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't seen all of it.
I haven't. I have not.
See, the thing about that one was the budget wasn't massive, and the director was very new, so he hasn't done a lot, and he's very young as well. But one of the things that they did, okay, so when the studio, they were like, okay, we have a small budget, we want to make a horror movie. The genius in going with The Invisible Man was amazing. Because you don't have to spend a lot of money on makeup, you don't have to spend a lot of money on CGI, because there is someone there, but there is no one there. So you can just make some shit happen easily without having to spend a lot of money on someone actually being there.
Yeah, really.
Obviously, you need to spend some money on special effects and stuff for when he comes into frame or whatever, like when he goes from visible to invisible or back. But another thing is, it also gave me a lot of hope for the future of horror. Because obviously we've had a lot of problems with shit like The Nun, like Annabelle, and all that stuff. But this being a modern film and being so good, there isn't any like jump scare just for the sake of it with like making a sound. There's actually good shit. The entire point is this woman, right? So obviously she I guess kind of spoiler for if you haven't seen it, but I mean this won't spoil the movie for you because you'll probably be able to enjoy it anyway. So she essentially, it starts off quiet, completely quiet, no one says anything. You see this main character, she wakes up and you see her starting putting on clothes and packing her bags and whatever, and she goes out the door. Then she ends up triggering a car alarm, and she starts running through the woods. The reason that she's leaving is because of her boyfriend is abusive, and so she's planned like for a long time that she's going to leave. So you see her sister waits for her in a car, and then when you then see like through, like you see like from, you know, like the behind, like you see like the sister looks to the right through the window that she's gonna come through, and you have like the camera behind the head, right?
Right.
So you see the girl through the window running. Then all of a sudden, like behind her, all of a sudden you see someone else, and it's because she had triggered the car alarm. The boyfriend comes running after. But then, so when she gets into the car, the boyfriend just like storms straight through the window, and they just drive off. And so no dialogue has been said until this point. Then later, it's apparently said that the boyfriend died. I think it was said that he committed suicide or something. And in his will, he left her all of his money or just a shit ton of money. But he said, unless she shows signs of going insane or whatever the fuck it was, right? Don't remember word for word. So then, for a period of time, I believe she lives in his house. But he's a scientist. He has made an invisible suit. So what was the criteria? She doesn't show signs of mental illness or being crazy. But he, the abusive boyfriend, like before it was just behind closed doors. Now he can abuse her whatever the fuck he wants. And her saying, it's my invisible boyfriend coming back to life and fucking with me. That shows signs of her being mentally crazy. Shows signs that, in which case, she won't get the money. And he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And when all of this shit is happening, you have no clue. When you look at her sitting somewhere, you go, he could be anywhere, and I just have no clue. He could be sitting right behind her. He could be in the doorway. He could be anywhere. You have no clue. So it keeps you on your toes at all times. And so shit starts happening to her. He keeps on fucking with her and fucking with her. And shit just isn't going well. Because he has an invisible suit, so he can do whatever he wants. And so you just have no clue. So you keep on your toes the entire way. There are some good jump scares, but they aren't overly pushed at you. They're very good jump scares. So I think that that movie introduces very well the aspect of the lack of knowledge that horror has a tendency to bring, because you never know where he is, you never know what's gonna happen. The character that you're rooting for going through incredibly tough time because like she's being labeled as crazy because she says all this shit, right? There is a satisfying build up. There is good scares, and it hits close to home because it's like not I'm not saying that anyone's boyfriend or girlfriend is gonna make up an invisible suit, but but I'm saying that the case of abuse in a relationship hits close. The
Yeah, I'm so
part
scared.
of you fearing. Now, obviously, it kind of came out that he had died, but you fearing what your ex could do, whether it be like whatever. I think there's a lot of shit that hits close to home in this one. Not necessarily personally for me, but I can understand the perspective. And that's one of the things
Right.
that it also does well in the movie. So I think that a lot of the things that you look for in a good horror movie is found in that. And I also think that the way to introduce people to horror nowadays is show them something, because I think that with the old movies, I think that the reason that a lot of people watch them is because they have developed the interest. Now, with this person that we're talking about, they are developing the interest, right? So I think showing
Right.
them something modern, a modern take on a classic, which The Invisible Man is, I think that doing a modern take on that, showing them that, and then going, so this is the modern thing. Was this good? Okay, nice. Then maybe show them something else. It doesn't have to be as modern, but I think somewhere after the 2000s, like I think 2000 and onward, I think is a good way to start with the first two movies. And then you go, okay, those two are really good movies. Now let me show you some of the classics that have really been the reasoning for these that has built this up. Then I would probably show them
Absolutely.
something like The Shining, then maybe Halloween. Like for example, actually, you know what? A thing that I think could actually be a good second movie to show them would actually be the Halloween reboot.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
Halloween,
I think that one.
the 2018 Halloween movie is fucking great. So
Yeah,
I
It
think that
is. Yeah.
that's a really good movie. Like obviously, like people will go, but no, but you have to watch the first one first.
no,
But
you
you
don't. It's
don't, because obviously,
You really
okay,
don't.
you get some of the backstory explained to you, but also it's a great movie all on its own. So if anything, it will just make your experience of Halloween, the first one, probably just make that better, because you go like, oh shit, there's Michael all of a sudden. Like you go like, oh, but because then you know what he can do, and you just see him standing behind the bush looking at Laurie, so you're like, oh, you better be careful, because then you think a lot more about it, which I think would actually amplify the experience. And then when everything
Yeah.
happens, you just get more scared because you know what he's capable of, and he's targeted this one person. So I think that if anything, I think that it's actually a great movie to be this like I show them The Invisible Man first, then I'll show them the Halloween reboot, then I'll show them the first Halloween, then maybe something else. Maybe I would probably not go for a slasher again. Probably go for something else. Um, Maybe even go back to modern. You know, maybe show them the It movie. Then go back to some classic or whatever. I think that there are a lot of good movies that could build the establishment of someone's interest. But I think that the newest Halloween, or maybe even Ep.1, are, and then obviously The Invisible Man, as I said, are some of the best ways to introduce people into horror.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go through mine then, and I'll try and wrap it up really quickly. I'll do a quick description of it, and then we can probably end it there. That way, people aren't yawning at us.
Yeah.
Movie I think the movie I
Sorry,
would
guys.
show.
We can talk for so long. It's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah,
That's the reason we made a podcast.
we sat in the PlayStation party for what, like 5 hours
Yeah,
talking.
5 or 6 hours
At
just
least.
talking.
But the movie I would show people would definitely be Candyman, the first one, the original one.
Yeah, yeah,
It's it's scary not because it's gory or because of the kills or anything like that. It's how it shows it. Because you
yeah,
follow this girl who's looking for a story. She's this college professor's wife. She's looking for a story, a scoop, a thesis,
yeah,
and she's looking for Candyman. Well, she goes looking for him, and she finds him not in the way she thinks she wants to find him. She
yeah,
finds this legend, and it's built up this whole first part of the movie. And they're going through all these creepy places down in that's very dangerous, like in dangerous parts of Chicago at the time. Now they're not so dangerous, but back then they were.
yeah,
And they're going through these abandoned buildings, crawling through holes and stuff, and you expect something to happen, but it never does. So you're calm, but you're on your seat. You're like, what's going to happen? Is she going to go through that hole in the wall, and then she's going to get stabbed,
yeah,
or is what's going to happen? And then you get through the movie and through the movie and through the movie, and then something does happen, but not in the way you would expect it to scare you as much. You expect a jump
yeah,
scare, but it doesn't happen. She's standing, getting in her car after her friend's done left, and you just hear a man's voice.
yeah,
He's calling her name, Helen. Helen, and it's a calm voice. It sounds very soothing, but at the same time, it's deep and it's growly and it's kind of terrifying and kind of creepy.
yeah,
And then she blacks out and wakes up. There's a dead dog. There's blood in a baby crib, and this woman is freaking out.
yeah,
And you're just like, what?
yeah,
And it's just all this stuff just kind of playing together with each other. And then you go through the rest of the movie and the rest of the movie, and you just see her blacking out, and you're like, is she doing it or is it Candyman? Is she crazy? No, 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 no. So you're making assumptions. You're piecing it together over and over and over and over and over.
yeah,
And then at the end, it finally fruitions itself, and it's like, wow, what did I just watch?
yeah.
I think Tony Todd is the only person who's really going to be able to play Candyman. I think in the remake they did, which I've seen, I don't know if y'all have. In the remake,
I haven't seen it yet.
well, the remake's okay. It's not
Okay.
best remake, but it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It feels like Candyman through the majority of the movie, and then the ending it kind of differs down.
I
But
see. Well, one that
Tony,
I didn't think about that I probably should have thought about, since you said Candyman, is Hannibal.
yeah, Hannibal.
Hannibal's a really good horror movie, and I think that now I'm not saying that that would be like one of the first ones I would show people, but it would definitely be on the list of something I would show.
Yeah, it's the
Oh
same thing
yeah,
with
for
the
sure.
actors.
Yeah,
The guy who plays Hannibal, I think it's like Anthony Hopkins or something like that.
yeah,
The guy who plays him perfectly. He plays
yeah,
the maniac, hive mind, all this stuff. He plays it well.
yeah.
Plays it good.
Like
And
he's also just a great actor, but I think that the character was probably perfect for him as well. Because
it's
I
like when
think
they were
that
writing.
the way that he acts in it, and the way that he sounds and looks and everything, I think one thing that people might realize is, yeah, that's how I would expect him to look. Not that you would expect the guy, I don't remember his name, but I don't think you would expect him to be one. But I think that if someone were to be like that, you would expect them to look kind of like
Yeah,
that.
especially now with the Thor movies. He plays Odin,
Yeah,
the guy who plays Hannibal. And so you go, oh yeah, by the way, that's Odin from Thor. They're like, what?
yeah,
That can't be him. And then they start seeing the similarities, and like, oh my god, that's him. So
yeah,
you see a guy. They just saw a guy that was this old, humble, wise mentor figure go to this insane, crazy cannibal.
yeah,
It's amazing how well he plays both roles, and the turn is very well.
yeah. But
It's
also,
the same.
like, people can say what they want about Transformers 5. I liked his role in Transformers 5. It might just
No,
be that he's just a great actor, but yeah.
he is a great actor, but I haven't seen any. I watched the first three, and I just gave up.
Yeah. Like, in Transformers 5, he plays this sort of like. He's very funny. Okay, he's a very funny character, so not exactly like he is plays Hannibal, but is He's great in that movie. Like that movie gets a lot of shit, but I think that one thing that I would say, no matter what, is that his role is still really good.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely actors making the role
Yeah,
better. It's like when Kane Hodder got into the suit as Jason, how
yeah,
he put his whole body into it
yeah,
is amazing. It makes Jason feel like not just this walking corpse. It makes it feel like, oh, he's gonna get my ass.
yeah.
Same thing with Robert England. Robert
Absolutely.
England made
Like
Freddy his role.
that's like for me also like. Now I loved Venom and I love Tom Hardy, but I think that one of the things like no matter what I think about the second one now with Carnage, no matter what, I will fucking love Tom Hardy and fucking Woody Harrelson. Those two bouncing off of each other will be a fucking great. Like
Oh yeah, I
two
gotta see
fucking
that.
amazing actors. I don't give a fuck what I think about the story. Every scene with those two people together is probably just gonna be fucking great, just because those two are fucking great. And one thing that I talked with a friend about Tom Hardy is he carried Venom on his back, right?
Yeah, he really
And
did.
the thing about him is Tom Hardy always picks his movies in a sense where he can always bring something to the role. His Bane was made iconic.
Oh
His
yeah, the
Venom,
cop.
like Tom Hardy always picks characters in movies so well because he knows that he can bring something. He's very smart. He's not just a good actor, he's a smart actor. And he's just fucking great. So I think that no matter what I think about the movie, those two bouncing off of each other is just gonna be great.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty
Definitely
good.
was
Yeah,
a good
agreed.
first podcast. The three of us.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll get
For sure.
some more people on here eventually.
yeah. Hopefully Vector will be in for the next one, and I assume that we'll at some point we'll get Zero in as well. So
Yeah.
I think that that's gonna probably gonna be a lot of fun. So but I think that has been a pretty good podcast. I think that wrapping it up here is pretty good. We've gone through three very interesting topics and
Oh yeah.
added to the topics as well. We've gone a bit off the rails, which you
Yeah.
know
Well,
it is okay. It's bound to
happens,
happen. It's a podcast. It's always gonna happen. But
especially when you got three nerds bouncing off each other's
yeah,
thoughts.
exactly. And when everyone just has something to bring to the table, that's just how it goes. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope that people that have listened and will listen are going to enjoy it as well. I hope they will. I think that with the right people listening, I think they're probably going to do it. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to the next one. I think we
Oh, yeah,
made a good one here, and hopefully get Vector on the next one.
that's the thing with podcasts. Like, we can sit here and make these over and over again. And
Yeah,
if somebody's like, they like nerd culture as much as I do, they want to go hear our thoughts on this. And
yeah,
they listen to that.
exactly.
It's definitely good to
Absolutely.
reset. Because if you guys are looking at other podcasts, if you like a guy on YouTube named Zanny, he has a podcast called The Crate Room where he does it with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
And the first couple episodes are them talking about Halo and stuff.
Oh,
But
amazing.
it's like something for you to listen to. Like, I listen to episodes on my way to work and on my way back from work, and sometimes I listen to music.
Yeah.
But that's what I listen to just to get away from all this stuff. Like, going to work, I really don't want to go. And
Yeah.
tomorrow I got 7 and go. But if you just listening to podcasts just helps. Even if you don't finish it all the way, just listening to it, it's like
Yeah.
it's not music. It's not something you gotta turn around and pay attention to. You can just plug in your
Absolutely.
earbuds and you can just go. Like, I was washing dishes, I plugged my earbuds in, and I listened to a podcast, and it was very
Exactly.
easy.
So
Well,
yeah.
Bruno, I'll let you do a little outro for us if you got one.
All right. So thank you everyone who has listened. Hope to see you next time. I think that this little nerd podcast will catch on hopefully amongst a few people, and I think that we have a lot of fun making them. So if you have a lot of fun listening to them, then that will just be even better. This first month, somewhat ironically when we're starting it, is going to probably be Halloween themed. So I think that pretty much every episode is probably going to be somewhat Halloween themed or amongst those lines. So the next one, I think probably will be us discussing a movie. I have one movie that I kind of want us to delve into, a movie that I have enjoyed, which is obviously then a horror movie. Um, and kind of get trying to get a bit of a rhythm going. So
Oh yeah, for
so
sure.
yeah. So you'll probably see us at least once a week, hopefully. Uh, and I would say it's probably pretty likely as well. Um, so hopefully we'll get on Vector next time. Then we'll be four people bouncing off of each other. So that'll be even more fun.
Even
Uh,
longer.
yeah, even longer. So we'll end up at a 4 hour mark. Double the time. And then when we get zero on, it's a 10 hour podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. So thank you all for tuning in, and hope you all have a good one. And just tune in for the next one. It'll probably be spooky.
Ooh.
Ooh. So thank you all for listening. Catch you